You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. All right, folks. Happy Sunday, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well out there. Wasn't planning on doing a live stream right now, but I do want to let you guys know we are going to be doing another live stream at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to have a special guest, Christopher Todd Nolan. If you guys are going back to the Counter Media podcast days, he was a regular guest on there, but he just finished a documentary on Butler, and we're going to be going over that. And I think understanding Butler is extremely important. It allows us to contextualize what happened to Charlie Kirk as well. But I do want to say hi to everybody over in the chat. Let's see who we got over here. We got Lace, Ex-Samurai, Jim Williams, Charlene Nounsworth. Charlene, I always see you on X. I love it. So, Lace, all you guys. I love No Soup for Knowles. We love you too. Make some great content. No Soup for Knowles. We need to get you on the show. Matter of fact, if you want to jump on the show today, you just let me know. I will throw you on here, even if you just want to come on here for audio. I'm cool with whatever. Save Smile, good to see you. I saw. Who else did I see over here? Jim Williams. Tammy, I see you. CJ, I see you over there. And I Rule, we see you guys. Hey, look, I appreciate you guys jumping in here. And I think this is really important. I was just taking the time and really going over Charlie Kirk's letter to Netanyahu. And I think it really is important. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the drama around there. Last night, somebody was bringing it up. And I was like, you know what? I know I've read different excerpts from Charlie Kirk's letter to Netanyahu. I've never read the whole thing. So I went and looked for it. I found an article and they said, here's Charlie's letter. I have no reason to believe that it's not the full letter. It was fairly long. So I copied and pasted that. It was Charlie's content that I don't feel bad for that. And I put it up. And of course, somebody hit me up. I don't know, about 30 minutes later, I looked down the comments and somebody said, hey, Gary, that's not the full thing. So I went and found the full thing. Obviously, immediately posted a correction, said, hey, this is the full thing. And it's better. It's better. I mean, the summary didn't take any context out of it. As a matter of fact, it took away some of the important context, if anything else. And we're going to go through that. And I think there's some really important portions of that. But I also do want to say hello to Jen. She just got back from a trip. And I called her. I was like, hey, you busy? We got to do a live stream. So she jumped in there and started. Jen, I don't know if you got your mic on or not. But
I do.
I appreciate your like, so what are you doing? You're like, well, I'm just coming to the door, putting down my suitcase. I'm like, good. Throw a thumbnail together for me in a post.
And by the way, we have 2 shows today.
We do, yeah. We have 2 shows today. No rest for you.
Anything for you, boss. Anything.
I appreciate that. The other portion of this too is I also want to go through. I don't know about you guys, but I am sick and tired of people reinventing Charlie, erasing who he was and trying to, I don't know, this weird necromancy where they're completely overtaking who he was and trying to, I don't know, speak through him or try to push everything that he was against and using him in the smallest of things to rewrite and overwrite who Charlie Kirk was. And I'm just not going to stand by and let that happen. And, you know, I know many of you feel the same way, the same amount of frustration. The other thing is, you know, we're always hit with, and by the way, let me throw this in there. All right. This is for No Soup for Knowles. Brittany, if you are down there in the chat, this is a guest link for you. If you'd like to come on, even if it's just audio, I'd love to have you on. She makes a lot of great content on social media and on X especially. And I know she'll bring a lot of good analysis to this as well. But the fact is, like, they're trying to rewrite who he is. And and all of these people that hated Charlie Kirk now hate me and many other people that are trying to get the truth out. Erica Kirk, TPUSA, like all of those all the same things that they're saying to us. You're paid by Israel. You're paid by TPUSA. You're paid by the government. They were saying about Charlie Kirk. So all of us are in good company. And these people have the audacity, these people that hated Charlie, everything that he stood for, want to, number one, exploit his death and want to slip into his skin and sit there and pretend that they are now the advocates for Charlie Kirk, that they are now his voice from beyond the grave. And it is disgusting. And these are the same people that are saying, get rid of Charlie Kirk, destroy TPUSA. These are the same people that wanted the destruction of Charlie Kirk, TPUSA, and everybody else when he was alive. And I really want I think it's important to really highlight that. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this up here. And I want you guys to see what's happening here. So Charlie Kirk, as a matter of fact, let's take a minute and just kind of.
I hate being lied to, and I hate being propagandized.
Couldn't agree more.
And this weekend.
Couldn't agree more. That's what this is about for me. I cannot stand when I see what I know is just lie. Information that is twisted and contorted to push some sort of false narrative that I know is not true. It offends me down to my core. And that's what this is all about. And Charlie says some really key things in his letter that I think everybody need to just tattoo on their souls and hearts. And we'll get to that in a minute, but I haven't even listened to this. I don't know if I've ever listened to this, but I pulled this up and I want you to we're going to go through the comments in just a minute, but let's just listen to exactly what he's saying.
There was an all-out propaganda campaign trying to make it seem as if Israel is intentionally starving the people of Gaza. I hate being lied to, especially by the media networks. They lied to us about COVID. They lied to us about the vaccines. They lied to us about open borders. They lied to us Hunter Biden laptop. Joining us now is Rabbi Walicki, a great friend, and thank you so much for defending me the other day. Rabbi Walicki, you're also the YouTube, people can find you on YouTube, Israel 365. Rabbi, let's just go through the facts here, and then let's get into the lies. What is the situation in Gaza as the truth would bear it out, not the New York Times propagandist network?
I'm actually curious to see. And, you know, it's funny. Here we are. We're going back to, this is July 28th. And here we have Rabbi Walicki, who obviously ended up getting sucked into the whole Charlie Kirk assassination controversy as well. He was a key figure in all this. Some of the things that were said to him, and I believe some of the text messages, and I believe he was on that text string, as a matter of fact. So, you know, that's the other wild thing about this is like Charlie Kirk, and maybe we'll bring up those texts in a minute. I don't mind showing those. And I just came from church. I'm feeling especially diplomatic today. And I do want to encourage disagreement, and let's try to have some discussions on this. But again, you know, it's this idea that because Charlie Kirk was getting frustrated with some large Jewish American donors, these people aren't Israeli donors, these are American donors. And this is going to happen in a nonprofit, by the way. I mean, this happens in business. I have, you know, customers that are great customers that are highly appreciated. I've had them get to a point where they spent so much money with us. Now they kind of feel like they have a little bit of control over what we do, what we say, and really do kind of overstep their bounds. And they have the right to decide, hey, you know what? I don't want to support this guy anymore if they're not doing what I want them to do. But that happens in business. So I can only imagine how some of these donors, especially given millions of dollars in that text message, it talks about a $2 million per year amount of money that these people are donating. They're going to feel like they have input. It's just the way that these nonprofits work. So, you know, when they start getting frustrated that they're platforming people that they disagree with, and Charlie's platforming these people, and in this case, it was Tucker Carlson, that is going to happen. And just because someone airs some frustration, I mean, how many times have we all done this? Like we're like, you know what? These people are pissing me off. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And it's kind of, it's just a spur of the moment expression, right? I don't know. Maybe he was serious. Maybe he was going to start backing away from that, from the pro-Israel cause. I don't even know what that means, but I do think we get some additional insight into what Charlie really felt like when it came to his letter to Bibi Netanyahu. And my God, there's a reason that we've never seen this letter. There's a reason that Candace Owens has never shown this letter. There's a reason why she said, number one, it was fake, it didn't happen. And then when it was released, she didn't go over and be like, okay, let's take a look at this. But I digress. Let's continue to watch this a little bit more. Not going to be the whole thing.
Well, if we're talking about the starvation lie, and thank you, Charlie, thank you for having me on to talk about this. It's so important because this is really pure propaganda, as you say. So since the beginning of the war, since October 7th, the whole issue of the food getting into Gaza and how much food is getting in has been weaponized by Hamas and by the whole pro-Hamas crowd. And what they're doing most recently is claiming that there's a starvation crisis. The quantities of food, I'm not going to get into the weeds of the numbers, but the quantities of food that have been brought into the Gaza Strip since the beginning of the war and month over month is enough to feed the Gaza Strip, according to the World Food Program's numbers for what it takes to feed people, for longer than this war has gone on, for about 27 months worth of food.
All right, so we're getting a counter narrative of the narrative that's being pushed at this time. And again, remember, this is July 28, 2025. This is not long after the airstrikes in Iran. But anyways, let's go down here to the comments. Jake Shields, you are making an excuse. You are making excuse for genocide. What the F is wrong with you? Those donor bucks are blood-soaked. You are an irredeemable POS. Future Wikipedia entries, conservative Zionist sympathizers, outspoken Gaza genocide apologists. Disgusting lies here. Even Israeli military officials said Hamas was never stealing aid. This is a deliberate starvation policy, which was announced. Okay. You, Morgan Ariel, who is now like, man, she is on the front lines of defending Charlie's legacy. You are a child of the devil. Sold your soul for some shekels, and now your entire career has become running cover-ups for the devil you serve. I mean, I think they've taken, or the sock puppets, or the bots, or whatever else is going on out there. Like, all they had to do was point her to her account, like copy and paste the things that she said to Charlie Kirk and is now saying to everybody else out there that are in opposition to this op that is taking place, that is trying to use Charlie to undermine the president of the United States ultimately, and trying to destroy his legacy so that TPUSA will never be as effective as it was when Charlie was alive. Myron Gaines, take, bro. The entire world knows Israel blockade is starving them. Hey, Charlie, the whole world sees you. This is, like, I see this in my comments all the time. The whole world sees the vile traitor you truly are. The internet never forgets, and you'll never recover from this. Blakely LLC, whatever this person is, which going through a bunch of his comments, this lady was like a Charlie troll. You're despicable. You're a despicable liar. It's amazing you're able to call yourself pro-life Christian without immediately bursting into flames. Anyone who is interested in what actually happening in Gaza, rather than being lied to by the Zionist mouthpiece for the Israeli lobby, should follow whoever this is and ever that is. And you just go through, and the comments get more and more vile, more and more disgusting. Let's check in on how objective Charlie Kirk is on the subject. Charlie Kirk was pro-Israel. There's no doubt about it. And now they're trying to pretend that he wasn't. Because he expressed in one tweet, not even a tweet, in one text message, a private chat, he expressed some frustration. He completely is going to overwrite everything and everything that he stood for. And I do want to talk about some nuance, because I agree. I can sit around here and I can criticize Israel. I can sit around and we can criticize Trump and MAGA and the things that tick me off they're not doing, because there's lots of them. I disagree with Israel on many approaches. But what I'm not going to do is completely turn around and say and buy into all the lies, the tropes, right? That Israel is the source of all evil, that Jews rule the world. And, you know, it's one thing where I see this all the time. It's like, people are saying down in the comments, and I agree with this statement, by the way. It is not anti-Semitic to criticize Bibi Netanyahu or the Israeli government. I agree. 100%. But it just so happens that every single person that I see down in my comments talking about this, they also happen to be just rabid anti-Semites. All you got to do is go to their page. All you got to do is look at the things that they push. I am perfectly open to a nuanced and important discussion about our relationship with Israel, Israel's prosecution of the Gaza war, our discussion about the war in Iran. I'm open to all those things. There's plenty of room for debate and discussion. And I do think that there is good intention and honest brokers of information on either side of those. There are, but the problem is that we have this binary thing going on where these people that hate Israel down to their core want to push propaganda and lies to convince Americans and other people of a certain narrative that actually doesn't exist. Stop defending the crime of the century, you small-faced goon. I mean, I don't know if it's this one or the next one I'm getting ready to show you, but there you go. You big gum, demonic, long-faced lion MFer. May your children have the same mercy you've shown Gaza. Oh, this is a pastor. This is Pastor Ben. Pastor Ben. Thank you. That seems like a good biblical message that we got there. You're using your platform to cover up the murder of children. That's your legacy. That's your legacy. Let's look over it. Let's take a look at this one. Here's another Charlie Kirk post, June 21st, 2025. Iran gave President Trump no choice. For a decade, he has been adamant that Iran will never get a nuclear weapon. Iran decided to forego diplomacy in pursuit of a bomb. This is a surgical strike, operated perfectly. President Trump acted with prudence and decisiveness. Here we go. Jake Shields again. Charlie, you are so retarded and fake. Carolyn, I don't know how to say her last name, Boryasenko. F off, you warmonger shill. You're warmongering shill. I see her. She is, again, one of these people trying to get justice for Charlie. Pushing all these fake narratives, including all the conspiracy slop, all of it. Kurt Metzger. We posted this one up there. You effing bizarre-shaped head, fake-ass shill, MFer. You should wave a Pam Bondi BS Epstein binder around like a waterhead to celebrate. Thanks, Kurt. That was very insightful. Thank you. Yeah, another trailer. Slave for a foreign entity. Does Israel has you on tapes too? I don't even know how to read some of these things. We can hear you with Israel dick in your mouth. All right. These are all these things that people were saying. You're paid to push World War III. Here's a one, and I haven't watched this either, but we got the one and only Nick Fuentes.
Then once, and it went from last week, no new wars. We shouldn't get involved. Let them fight it out over there. Then they changed the position to, well, we shouldn't get involved. Then, once we did get involved, they said, well, we shouldn't get involved offensively. You've never heard that before, ever. Have you ever heard such a thing, making a distinction? Well, it's fine if we get involved defensively and supplying one side with offensive and defensive weapons and shooting down the ballistics of the other side, but not offensively. We can't go that far. And now they're taking a new line, which is, hey, well, Trump campaigned on ending Iran's nuclear program. So you can't say he's being inconsistent. That's the new one. I've seen it all day. Have you seen it too? The entire day, Michael Knowles, Steve Crowder, Charlie Kirk, the whole day. Well, in fairness, Trump campaigned on ending Iran's nuclear program.
He did. Folks, he did. Now, what I will tell you right now is I believe that Trump absolutely believed that he could Trump did think that he could get it done diplomatically. I mean, he did. It didn't happen. He also talked about that he was going to end the war in Ukraine. He didn't. Sometimes Trump oversells himself. It is what it is. We see that with every single president. It's just part of the campaign trail. think not always understanding the reality of how difficult the situation is once you get in office. Let's hit a couple of super chats and maybe some other questions and comments before we get heavier into this. And I go into the letter. I sent Apostate Prophet a super chat asking him to come on your show to talk about Islam. He said he would. I have his email if you'd like. Yes, please. As a matter of fact, send Jen an email. Her information is down in the description below. And speaking of which, if you haven't done so already, make sure you like, subscribe. Also, if you'd like to support this channel, we'd really appreciate it. You can become a member. There's a link down in the description below. You can become a member. If you want to support us over on X, make sure you're following us. And all our other socials are down in the description as well. But you can also become you can actually become a subscriber over on X. It's a couple dollars a month. It goes a long way, and we appreciate it. I did an analysis of the amount of times that Massey tweeted about Kentucky versus Israel 2024. 111 Israel, 159 Kentucky. 154 of the Kentucky tweets were from this year, mostly generic, 4 and 25, 0 and 24. Yeah, look, that is what these people are running on. There was just recently somebody, I don't know if I retweeted or not to look. But there was a retweet of a video that Ryan Matta posted that he ultimately took down. And he's wearing an iron cross. Look, the woke right, and I don't like to say that, and I'm not saying this loosely. This is like it's a fact. The woke right has become a Nazi party. I mean, it's indistinguishable from what they're pushing. When you look at Nick Fuentes, when you look at, go look at some of the accounts that are just straight up white supremacist accounts, that are just straight up Nazi accounts that Massey is following. People have been uncovering that left and right. Let me tell you something. Charlie Kirk would have not continued to support Massey for a number of reasons. For all the same reasons that most of us don't continue to support Massey. He became an obstructionist to Trump. There's no other way to put it. And, if you're not going to play ball, and now we can't even get you to vote 77, you're only 77% of the time, almost 30% of the time you're voting against. And it's also happens to be some of Trump's key initiatives. That's the real problem. And never mind all of the other anti-Israel nonsense that these people are pushing. Yeah, they love Charlie. That's why they want his organization canceled and want his wife destroyed and why they want his show shut down, because they care, guys. Yeah. I have a screenshot of the tweet from Jenny Robinson, Charlie Kirk, crusader and torturer of his widow, saying she hated Charlie before she deleted it. Would love that, MTX. Please send that. I think I have that somewhere. I've definitely seen it before, but we might as well keep it on tap. How could you hate Charlie Kirk? He was kind, intelligent, loving, and Christ-loving man. I miss him. That's exactly why they hated him. That's exactly why they hated him. They hated him because he was a true Christian. They hated him because he was so effective at changing minds. He was an unbelievable communicator. They hated him because he got out the vote. They hated him because of, the revival, the conservative revival that we saw on college campuses and amongst the youth. Never mind the Christian revival. Charlie, for the first time ever, it was now cool to be a conservative on a college campus. For the first time ever, it was cool to declare your faith on campus as a Christian. Gary, you're going to talk about last night's White House shooting. We may get into that a little bit. I'll be honest, I saw it last night. Reports were coming out. I was kind of waiting. You know what, Jen, if you can, pull up what I was waiting for last night, and I basically fell asleep, is I was waiting for the FBI to come out with a statement. I'm sure they have at this point. So I saw the initial reports. They were kind of all over the place. They were showing all the clips of the different reactions from reporters. We should definitely cover that. Thank you for reminding me of that. And then I woke up, went to church, came back, kind of got involved, and I've seen it, but we're going to learn about it together. Thank you, Megan, for becoming a member. We appreciate you. It's my personal belief that Candace may be Satan's secretary. Gary, and then right after the text, he hopped on a Zoom with the rabbi and others asking advice on how to defend pro-Israel ideology. This is exactly right. Like, context matters. And there's a reason that they're so adamant of omitting all of this information that doesn't push their agenda. And that's like the difference between us and their side. Like, we're willing to talk about everything in context. We're willing to show both sides of it. We're not the ones like just completely excluding information. They're the ones that are creating a manufactured suspicion on other people with no evidence, just creating things like I said, like making issues because Erica Kirk wore sparkly pants, because there were pyrotechnics at his, what I would call not even a memorial service, but what it was a celebration of life, right? And those are things and then they go on to say, oh my God, look what she did to AmFest. And then you go back and you look at every other AmFest and it was the exact same thing. It was smoke, fireworks, a celebration. It was a jubilant environment. Jenny Robinson said she hated Charlie. She didn't delete it until after he was gone, and she became one of the necromancers. Yeah, you're exactly right. Hey, Gary, I want to give you a special shout out to a content creator who does excellent political analysis, and that's American Fire with Ace Hope. With Ace Hope, you interview him. Sure. Give a shout out. We appreciate that. You all super sticker. Thank you very much. All right. So let's jump into this. Let's take a look at, let me remove this one. And I am going to share the letter. Let me get a window here. Boom. All right. All right, so here's Charlie's letter, and we're going to start from the top here, as we obviously should. I'm going to make this as big as possible. And Jen, I know you took you off the screen, but feel free to jump in here anytime you have something to comment. We always love your commentary as well. From the desk of Charlie Kirk, May 2nd. All right, I wrote this part just to keep everybody understanding the timeline of this. I heard several people saying this has happened. This letter's from years and years ago. That's not correct. This was May 2nd. All right, so this is 3.5 months before he was killed. Dear Prime Minister, one of the greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with Jews in the fight to protect Judeo-Christian civilization. Most recently, I'm proud to have taken over Ambassador Huckabee's show on TBN, where we continually support Israel and Jewish people. As Mohammedanism spreads in Western societies, it's critical that Jews and Christians stay united in the effort to contain and roll back radical Islam and Sharia law. I regret to report that anti-Israel and anti-Semitic trends are at record levels on social media. Hasn't changed, right? We're continuing to see this gain momentum, at least from the perception of social media. I mean, there's definitely, because of Nick Fuentes, some of the other people that we just showed, Jake Shields and many others, Dan Bilzerian, these extremely popular people, they're becoming more and more bold with what we already knew they believed. And by doing so, and with doing so, they're also getting more people to buy into these lies. I regret to report these negative sentiments then flow downstream into college campuses, even seep into the conservative MAGA community. My team and I have spent months analyzing these trends and debating ideas that could help you and your country push back against these disturbing developments. Anti-Israel sentiment can undermine American support for Israel. The purpose of this letter is to lay out our concerns and outline potential remedies. Everything written here is from a place of deep love for Israel and the Jewish people. I think it's important to be brutally honest with those you love. In my opinion, Israel is losing the information war and needs a communications intervention. I started to compose this letter to you on Easter. I should have been focused on my family, but I was getting bombarded with messages about the Israeli army making it difficult for Christians to access church in Jerusalem on Easter. At the time, I did not see any official statements pushing back on this narrative. It was frustrating because pro-Israel surrogates like me should not be in charge of fact-checking every piece of anti-Israel misinformation that pours into social media. It wasn't just Easter. On my recent campus tours, half the questions I get are about Israel, and they're all negative. I often spend half my time on these campus tours defending Jews in Israel, which I'm proud to do because I love Israel and I love the Jewish faith. I spent endless hours with Dennis Prager over the years studying the Torah. Sometimes it feels like I'm defending Israel in public more than your own government. Isn't that similar? And he talks a little bit about this. He gives the Trump administration some praise that I don't know if it still applies, because we do the same thing. We don't feel like the Trump administration is pushing back enough and doesn't have a communications intervention. They need a communications intervention as well. The other entity that I would say needs a communications intervention is TPUSA. I couldn't help but think, as I'm reading this, like, my goodness, this is TPUSA. I think they need to start pushing back on this a lot harder, getting much more aggressive. And it shouldn't just be us, I don't want to say surrogates, but people that support them. All right. I'm not affiliated with TPUSA in any way. They've never paid me money. They've never asked me to do anything. I've reached out, as I've talked about many times, to Andrew Colvett and other people that I know that are associated with TPUSA to get information. They're a source. I call them and ask them questions. But I think this is advice that is prudent advice. Could go right to TPUSA from Charlie Kirk. My experience on college campuses matches a recent Harvard-Harris poll, which reported 48% 18 to 24-year-old Americans support Hamas over Israel. 48% of 18 to 24-year-old Americans support Hamas. Hamas, a known terrorist organization. That's sad. And this, well, we'll get to that in a minute. Even in young MAGA circles, Israel is losing support. We are getting huge crowds of 4,000 to 5,000 students on some of my college tours. My campus visits are becoming like a rock concert atmosphere filled with conservative patriots. Yet on these campus visits, I'm constantly confronted with, Israel is an apartheid state. Why does Israel conduct ethnic cleansing? Why is America subsidizing Israel's genocide against the Palestinian people? Notice, like, these aren't even the facts within these questions, or the information within these questions, are delivered as substantiated facts, and they're not. Like, first you have to break down the question. Well, like, hey, you know what, is America subsidizing Israel's genocide? Well, first of all, we would disagree. Anyone would disagree. Most people would disagree that they're not committing genocide to begin with. And for those of you that support Palestine, like, we can have those discussions and that debate. And I don't doubt that there are good people that are concerned about that. I know some of these people. I know some people that I talk with on a regular basis, that we get along with, that completely see what's going on with Israel in Gaza and Palestine. Like, we see it from two different spectrums. And those discussions and debates and information should be discussed. And that disagreement is okay. But what I have a real problem with is when I constantly see people pushing pure propaganda and pure lies to support the narrative that they believe, or the false narrative that they want to push. Is American aid helping to subsidize Israel's free healthcare? Israel and the Jews are running U.S. foreign policy. Israel and the Jews are responsible for 9/11. Defending Israel is not in our U.S. national interest. Why is Israel trying to drag us into a war in the Middle East? Above are just a sampling of the negative Israel-Jewish comments and questions I confront on college campuses. I'm accused of being a paid apologist for Israel when I defend her. However, if I don't defend Israel strong enough, I'm accused of being anti-Semitic. I know you've got a 7-front war, and my convictions pale in comparison. But I'm trying to convey to you that Israel is losing support even in conservative circles. This should be a 5-alarm fire. I'm often asked, why is Israel killing so many innocent civilians in Gaza? I know Israel goes to great lengths by dropping flyers and even calling civilians to clear out of areas about to be bombed. I know Israel posts maps showing which areas should be evacuated. I know that Hamas uses civilians and human shields. but 90% of the younger generation get their news from social media and podcasts. And there is very little pushback or fact checking by the Israeli government and or pro-Israel supporters in the media, especially social media. I strongly suggest Israel not always dependent on subcontracting their information war efforts to surrogates in America. Mr. Prime Minister, I urge you to revamp your information warfare strategy from the top to the bottom. Sometimes the impression is given that Israel thinks everyone hates them, so why care about winning over hearts and minds? If there's any truth to this impression, I urge you to consider that social media and podcasts is where you fight for the hearts and minds of the younger generation. Folks, this is what I'm talking about. And this is why I'm so passionate about this, because I see this taking place. I see an entire generation being duped because they go to these podcasts, they get convinced of something because the people that are telling these lies, number one, are very compelling, very entertaining. They're likable. I mean, it's snake oil. It really is. And you got to be a really good snake oil salesman to sell this garbage. And then on top of that, what they do is instead of going and looking for any sort of counter narrative to figure out which is true, they just go find another person. They go from the Ian Carroll to the Nick Fuentes to the Candace Owens, and they just get the same lies reaffirmed over and over and over again. And now they are completely bought. There's no way that you're going to convince them of any other, that what they're being told is a lie. Obviously, all this negative Israel propaganda on social media easily translates into pro-Hamas, free Palestine sentiment on many college campuses. Here are some unsolicited recommendations my team and I suggest if you're open-minded to a communication reset. For starters, you need a rapid response media team. Rapid response media team. We'll talk about the importance of that. President Trump does this very effectively on social media with his own account with the White House Rapid Response 47 team. Like, where has that been lately? I don't see the communication coming from Trump nearly at the level that it used to, and from his administration. They need to be out there pushing the truth and countering their lies. The problem is now that they're surrounded. They used to have to just fight left-wing and mainstream media. Now they have all these alleged once supporters, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Joe Kent, you name it. All of these people now attacking them they're basically surrounded. And it almost gets to a point of like, I don't even know what to respond to. So I can understand the frustration, but they got to pick it up. They got to step up to the challenge and make sure that they are launching a counter assault, because that's what it is. The president has strong fighters like Stephen Miller, Caroline Leavitt, who battle the press every day. Honestly, I don't even know if you have a press secretary. You're an eloquent defender of the Israel, but you need a team of information warriors out there pushing back every day. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, people. Like, we cannot allow these little lies to grow into bigger ones, and each and every one of us have to push back immediately on the lies that are being expressed. And like, that's what we got to do. And Charlie Kirk understood this. And it wasn't even as bad back then as it is now. Because there again, we have all the woke right now. All the people that used to support, that used to help with the counter narratives, that used to kind of highlight the lies coming from primarily the left. Now it's anti-Israel, it's anti-Trump, it's destroy MAGA, it's everybody, Epstein files this, Epstein files that. And you know what? I'm really glad to see it. I just posted this the other day. Matter of fact, I'm going to bring up that post in a minute. But I talked about, look, there is a change. The tide is turning. People are waking up. And it's not just me, it's many people out there that are fighting the fight. And it's you, even though many of you don't have a platform, the little things that you do when you are pushing back, I see you posting information. Like, hey, here's the truth. Here's this article. Here's the statistic, whatever it is. Like, that's what we got to do. And you all are doing it. And please continue to do that. When you don't push back, anti-Semitism and anti-Israel propaganda fill the void. A pro-Israel friend recently asked me, do Israelis even care how the world perceives their country? And this is also the counter narrative or a response to, look, if we just let it go, if we don't feed into this, if we starve the grift, it'll go away. No. When you allow lies to go unchallenged, they're accepted as fact. And that's why we can't afford to do this. We can't afford to starve the grift or whatever else people want to say on this. I strongly recommend putting together a team of pro-Israel experts who can fact-check misinformation in real time from Israel. Israel needs to take the lead in this effort. No more dependence on subcontractors. Israel never asked for American troops because Israel does its own fighting. I suggest the same approach for the information war. You lead, and people like me will follow and provide supplemental support. If you're open to revamping your communication strategy, my team and I are happy to assist. You need something perhaps like the Israel Truth Network, which can include social media channels and one-stop source of information website where, for example, all the negative Israel questions I get can be thoroughly debunked. I would love to refer students to such a website. The website could also be a conduit of groups like Hillel, and Jewish educators like Dennis Prager. There can be links to books, podcasts, and personalities, and pro-Israel thought leaders. The website can be a place where Judeo-Christian leaders and groups can share information and form closer alliances in the fight against Islamic fundamentalism. Let's talk about that for a second, because there's a lot of people online. I see them pushing all this stuff like, Jews think that Jesus is in a vat of crap in hell, boiling to like whatever. I saw someone posting about like how Jews make fun of Christians. Just like what you just described is the human condition. Jews make fun of Christians. I don't doubt that that's true. Guess what? Christians make fun of Jews. Protestants make fun of Catholics. Catholics make fun of Protestants. We all think that we've got the secret knowledge. We're on the right path and everybody else is wrong. And who knows in the end? But this is like anything, we are so tribal as people. Anything that can potentially divide us, we do. And while I may talk a little smack about Catholics, and I have some fundamental issues about how their religion conducts itself, I can still be great friends with Bree Dale, and she can come on and talk. We can talk about those differences, and I want to see things from her perspective. What we can describe and what people try to highlight as some crazy thing between Jews and Christians or Jews and non-Jews is a theological disagreement. That's what it is. That is very different than but the difference here, Jews aren't trying to kill Christians and Christians aren't trying to kill Jews. Have we done that in the past? You better believe it. Go back to the Middle Ages. Look at what the Catholic Church did. There's so many times when men, and I include women, but men have used religion as an excuse to conduct unbelievable violence and evil. That is the human condition. But I can tell you right now, I know a lot of Jews. I know a lot of Catholics. And we have fundamental disagreements, but we don't think that we should kill each other. And that's the difference between us, the Jews, and ultimately Islamic fundamentalists, terrorists, wherever you want to create that divide. That's the difference. IT and social media can post pro-Israel, pro-Judeo-Christian video clips, breaking news and articles. ITN could potentially be a new aggregation site for all news pertaining to Israel, Judeo-Christian efforts to preserve Western society. So, I mean, think about what the amount of time and effort that Charlie Kirk has put into this. He's like, look, I can't do this on my own. Let me give you some strategies. I mean, Charlie Kirk was an unbelievable communicator. He was good at marketing. Look what he did. Look who he is. Look at the legacy that he left behind. Look at the fact that this man and his organization, he led his organization to ensuring Trump beat Kamala Harris. He got 2.5 million votes. And I think that's on the conservative side. We beat her by 2.3 million. He was a political and spiritual force in this country that we unfortunately lost. It was taken from us by the left. Have you considered inviting some of the released hostages to go on a speaking tour in the U.S.? This could be very effective messaging. These hostages can talk about how Gazan civilians not once offered any empathy or compassion. President Trump referenced this lack of humanity when some released hostages visited the Oval Office. This was effective messaging. When impactful messaging clicks, keep it going. Also, these hostages and all your spokespersons should be arguing it's Hamas that's committing genocide on their own people by using the civilians as human shields and storing weapons in schools, hospitals, etc. That information drips out in the regular media, but it's almost non-existent on social media. Look, I'm up for having the debate, and this touches on one of the real issues I have when I hear people like Ian Carroll, Ryan Matta, and some of these other propagandists talk about this entire issue. And that is, they never talk about that. They want to deny that it happens. I just saw a post today where they showed Israeli soldiers pulling grenades, weapons, explosives out of a hospital. Like, let's have a debate. But you got to use the truth. And look, I understand there's misinformation and propaganda that comes from Israel. I don't believe it's at the level that is taking place on the other side of that. Hamas, Hezbollah, the information that they're putting out, the links at which they will go, that they have used, absolutely have used press credentials, like running around wearing press and then running around committing acts of terrorism, launching rockets, shooting people, killing people. They do the same thing in ambulances. Like, that has to be discussed before we can have an honest and open and fair discussion about what's actually going on and how we can come to some sort of reasonable conclusion of what's actually happening, along with the solutions for it. We don't always get the truth from Israel. I'm well aware of that. And there's always going to be some deception in military operations from either side. But what is going on in Palestine and what Islamic terrorists have used, I've seen these things with my own eyes. I've seen them commit atrocities on entire villages and then try to blame it on U.S. forces. I've seen those things. They don't care about people. They don't care about their own people. All they care about is their objective, the narrative. And that's exactly what I see from the woke right, and I've always seen it from the left. They're willing to lie by any means necessary. They're willing to win. And that's the problem here. Maybe interview regular Israelis on the streets, asking them what they love about their country. Interview Jews, Israelis, Arabs, Druze, Orthodox, secular, etc. Ask Israelis what do they wish the world knew about Israel. Ask them to respond to examples of misinformation on social media. This could be an entire social media PR campaign called Dude, You Got Us Wrong. Interview Israelis from all walks of life. Let Israelis explain in their own words how Israel is a pluralistic society, a free country with elected leaders unlike all the surrounding authoritarian Arab nations. Why not show how your hospitals take care of wounded terrorists? Why not show clips of Israel dropping flyers from airplanes warning Gazan civilians to get out of harm's way? It would have been nice to see an Israeli plane with the Star of David arrive in the U.S. full of supplies after a hurricane. Has Israel offered any assistance to the U.S. insofar as technology to protect our border or with missile defense shield President Trump has discussed? These are examples of effective messaging showing Israel as a close ally of America. Consumers of social media are aware of the billions in supplies we send to Israel, but they're less aware of what America gets in return. This is true. Israel does need to do a better job in a lot of things, expressing their commitment to us as much as we do to them. There's no doubt about it. I think that would go That would make a lot of progress in our relationship, as well as countering some of the narratives that are out there. I think it's good criticism. You and your team need to make the argument on social media that Israel is a great friend of America and vital to U.S. national security. Like, think about what's just being said there. This is what Charlie Kirk believed, and by the way, it's what I believe as well. You and your team need to make the argument on social media that Israel is a great friend of America and is vital to U.S. national security. The strategic advantage that we have with having a relationship with Israel, folks, it's invaluable. It's invaluable. Being able to project power by, with, and through Israel, it's invaluable. And I'm telling you right now, part of the misinformation that's coming out and it's being pushed by the CCP. And why is that? Because they are trying to replace us as the superpower that Israel relies upon because of those strategic advantages. And we're shooting ourselves in the foot. We're buying right into the stuff that they're pushing, right into these narratives that are extremely beneficial for them and will ultimately hurt us. And then what's going to be said, like after we push Israel away, and we're doing it, we are definitely doing it. When we push Israel away, and the next thing you know, they're in bed with the CCP, like that's going to be a real problem. Hopefully they reject that. But I already know that I believe they've actually bought some weapons or are discussing buying weapons from China. China will happily replace us all over the world. Israel needs to better portray itself as a member of Team Humanity. Israel needs to establish a baseline of her identity. To run an effective messaging campaign, you need a clearly defined message. This message should be homegrown from Israel. In other words, create original content from Israel. Videos and visuals feed social media. Keep these edited clips short, under 1 minute, and post the best ones on the Israeli Truth Network. Don't rely on non-Israeli social media influencers to create all these clips. Create them yourselves, and influencer surrogates like me can promote the original work and refer people to your social media and websites. Be proactive. Take the lead. Bottom line is Israel needs to learn to fish, i.e. create your own content and be more self-reliant when it comes to your communication strategy. Iran. Israel could do a better job explaining the Iranian threat. Among the many conservatives who support Israel, there's a concern that America could become entangled in a quagmire in Iran. My generation grew up with the disasters in Afghanistan and Iraq. We were promised there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, which proved to be a lie. Our generation was also lied to by the governments of Israel and the U.S. with that COVID vaccines were safe and as effective. He's highlighting something that's so important. We've covered it here before. We have now been convinced that every war is going to be Iraq and Afghanistan. And quite frankly, if we allowed the military industrial complex and the defense contractors, if we let it happen, they would. Look, they love these long-term occupations. They make billions off of that. That is not the only choice. And by the way, I don't think that's something that the president offers or supports or anything else. He doesn't want any sort of quagmire or long-term. That's not the choice being offered here in Iran either. And they're going to talk more about that, or he's going to get to a point here that I want to highlight his wisdom on that. Israel intelligence missed the boat on October 7th, but we're asked to trust Israeli intelligence 100% that Iran is on the cusp of obtaining nuclear weapons. Young conservatives are very skeptical of government proclamations. We don't fully trust intelligence assessments. Right now, it seems like Israel is primarily relying on Americans to make the case for attacking Iranian nuclear sites. These arguments get a lot of blowback in MAGA circles. Other than you, Mr. Prime Minister, I see very few Israelis making the case in the media, social media, or podcasts. Many agree with you, myself included. Many agree with you, myself included, that Iran should not get nuclear weapons. At the same time, I share the concern that America will get sucked into another endless war, costing thousands of Americans' lives. I feel the exact same way. I witnessed the never-ending wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. I was with the initial invasion into Iraq. I was there for 13 months. We left thinking we were going to be gone for 3 months. They're like, hey, you know what? If we do go to war, this could be quick, easy. Back in 90 days, chaps, 13 months later. And by the way, and hopefully, I won't say hopefully, I'm sure there's some Iraq war veterans out there that were with the initial invasion. You guys remember? It's like, all right, we've been here 90 days. We would get that, like, hey, another month. It was always another month. It was always another month. Like, one more month, guys. Just suck it. Next thing you know, we're 13 months deep into it, and they're like, another month. Yeah, okay, whatever. I live here now. I've accepted it. But I absolutely agree that Iran should not get a nuclear weapon. And when we prioritize, and I don't want to see endless wars, but prioritizing those two things to me is very easy. Number one, I don't think that it would lead to an endless war. We've never seen wars with, like, World War II was what? 5 years. Wasn't that long. We've never seen war being conducted like what we saw in Iraq and Afghanistan. That's not war. That's not what the military is capable of. That's just what was put upon us. They intentionally didn't want that war to end because we had a bunch of corrupt politicians that were getting rich. We had a bunch of corrupt business folks that were getting rich, that were capitalizing, and they justified it. Look, I'm sure all those people with all the millions of dollars that they were making personally slept just fine at night because they could sit up there and they could come up with good reasons as to why they're doing what they were doing. We can justify anything, and I'm sure they did. But that's not how war has ever been conducted before. That's not how it should be conducted, and we should pay attention to that. And it comes back to, I do trust Donald Trump because I think it is imperative that we do not let Iran get a nuclear weapon. It's insanity to think anything else. Where are the Israelis who are arguing their case to win over public opinion? Israel should be making its case 24/7 on social media, including long-form English-speaking podcasts and social media channels and websites, such as Rapid Response Team and ITN. A paradigm shift is needed in how Israel presents itself to the world, especially on social media. Perhaps the best way to convey my thoughts here is to think of Israel as a political candidate. In this case, a younger woman who grew up on social media. Who is this candidate and what does she stand for? Right now, there's essentially a massive negative ad campaign spreading on social media. These negative ads are defining this candidate. These people are just pushing lies, pushing propaganda, pushing false narratives without any resistance for the most part. That went on for a long time. And that is, just like I posted the other day, the tide is turning, folks. And it's not because of just me. And when I put out a video or somebody else, some other, big creator, bigger than me, I'm telling you, like, the little things that you all are doing down in the comments that I see you, and I see you having an effect. It is, not necessarily one big impact of these, larger creators. It's the incessant effort, the combined sustained effort that's taking place that is it's pushing back. And also, like, I don't know what's going on. I do see less bots. I don't know if it's because of Massey's loss. Maybe whoever's funding a lot of these psyops are realizing it's not having the impact that they had hoped. I don't know. But bots do seem to be less pervasive. They're still there. Don't get me wrong. They're still there. Political campaigns face this challenge all the time. Many of the PR challenges Israel faces should be looked at through the prism of a political campaign. Like any campaign, the first task is to define the candidate. Right now, there is not a one-stop shopping resource where younger people can learn about this candidate. Every candidate has a website and social media. It would be a political malpractice to omit these tools. Sorry for the brutal honesty, but Israel's approach to social media is PR malpractice. Your candidate should list all the toughest questions she gets on the campaign trail with detailed expert responses, add footnotes on her ITN website, and use social media to explain her platform on a daily basis. These responses become part of Miss Israel's platform, where her positions and values are explained. Like any political campaign, you need surrogates who can articulately promote this candidate's platform and identity. Right now, Israel's identity is being fabricated by those who hate her by a barrage of misinformation in the media, especially social media. Fake news becomes real news if there's not effective pushback. That is true. Lies become fact, just accepted fact without some sort of pushback, and that's why we cannot allow them to go unopposed. When a candidate is hit with negative campaign ads, the effective response is for the candidate to personally respond to these attack ads. A candidate doesn't just rely on surrogates to get the truth out. One of Israel's one of Israel's biggest, most fundamental problems is typically your pushback is in third person. I do the third person voice all the time as I attempt to defend the candidate Israel, but I don't live in Israel, so I'm more like an attorney defending the client. Israel, the client, also needs to defend itself. I wish I had a first-person source of information I could reference where students and Israel skeptics could learn more about this client called Israel. You need a one-stop shopping resource where Israel's platform and beliefs can be spelled out. You need more Israeli surrogates speaking out on behalf of their candidate. At the moment, you have some wonderful non-Israeli surrogates speaking on behalf of a candidate that has not defined herself, especially when it comes to social media. I know it's common to think that social media, especially TikTok, is a waste of time. This is one of the biggest problems with the United States as well. Like, we need to make sure that as a country, we are not only aware of what's going on in this fifth generation battlefield, but we're winning. Like, we got to get, and I don't want lies pushed. I don't want just propaganda in the form of lies pushed. Like, we need a force of people. And I don't care if they're using bots. I don't care if they're using sock puppets. I don't care what they're using. I don't care if they're paying teenagers. I don't care what it takes. We need a presence, and we need soldiers on this battlefield that are pushing the truth. And of course, there should be some oversight on that, so that, because that really quickly can be weaponized against us, right? But we need to get engaged in that for sure. I thought similar a year ago, but TikTok algorithms have changed. I have increased my followers on TikTok from approximately 1 million to 6.6 million in the last year. We get billions with a B views on TikTok. My campus tour last fall, this spring, have received approximately 5 billion impressions. Elon Musk is a good friend to Israel, so X offers a great opportunity to make inroads in social media. Israel should not sit back and allow its enemies to define her. TPUSA should not sit back and allow its enemies to define it. A recent Pew Research poll showed 53% of Americans now have an unfavorable view of Israel, up from 42% 3 years ago. U.S. support of Israel is precarious right now. A new media strategy is urgently needed. I understand social media as well as anyone in the world. From my vantage point, Israel has retreated from social media without a fight. From my vantage point, TPUSA has all but retreated from social media without a fight. How are you going to win over your younger generations if you're starting out in retreat on social media? Younger generations use their TVs for Netflix, not the evening news. Narratives for younger and even middle-aged people are fought now on social media. Mr. Prime Minister, stop this retreat. Get in the information war fight. The front lines of this information war are on social media. Other than a few guerrilla warfare operations, there's very little Israel-created content. I saw that Israel has increased its Hasbara budget by 20 times, which is great news. There's also hundreds of millions of dollars raised by private pro-Israel groups. Some of this money should be directed into creating pro-Israel original homegrown content. Next, promote the content on Israel-operated social media channels and websites. Use some of these funds to start the Israel Truth Network. To sum up, you should perhaps consider reshaping your Hasbro department into more of a political campaign headquarters with campaign narrative experts. Hasbro could be the mothership hosting ITN, where the messaging campaign can be created and then distributed to all pro-Israel groups and thought leaders. Majority of staff in these efforts should be in their 20s and 30s. The older generation alone is not going to win the information war on social media. You need to fill the ranks with young people who grew up with cell phones and social media, not pay phones and TV news. Once the candidate is defined with a platform backfilled with extensive details, then allow the political operatives to take that platform into social media with an out-of-the-box approach like some of the earlier suggestions. See, this is the problem. This is the problem that we have in the U.S. as well. I want to highlight that. Is we have a bunch of people in government right now that are, 10 to 15 to 20, sometimes even 30 years older than myself, that grew up with nothing but pay phones and TV news. Like, they are stuck in a paradigm that doesn't work anymore. From a warfare standpoint, from a messaging standpoint, they're still using dial-up, man. I've seen your IDF spokesman defend Israel standing at a dimly lit podium. This looks like a scene out of the 1970s, like some old Walter Cronkite clips of the TV news. You need to tear down your old ways of communicating and start over from scratch. Create a communications and social media platform that is wired to fight back with the same fierceness and determination as the IDF. Folks, this is where the right has to be against all the lies. Whether we're talking about the left, whether we're talking about the right, the woke right, like, we have to be wired to fight back with at least as much fierceness as what they're putting out. And we need to work twice as hard. They're outworking us. They're outmaneuvering us. They're out messaging us. We're like, oh, if we push back, we're just feeding into it. Starve the grift. These are the dumb excuses that we come up with. And it frustrates me to no end, because you're just going to sit by, you're going to get into that bystander mode, and you're just going to watch your own demise while you're sitting there like, oh, yeah, this is the right way to approach it, as everything is just crumbling around you. Oh, yeah, that's great. Country's gone. Glad I starved the grift, you moron. Israel has many Americans and some well-known foreigners who defend Israel, which is great. But these are third-person views. Mr. Prime Minister, you're an eloquent defender of Israel, but you don't post very often on social media. Many of your clips are in Hebrew only. Why don't you do more press conferences in Israel in English? Take on some of the tough questions I get bombarded with on college campuses. We're all the Israeli surrogates. I can't remember the last time I saw an Israeli spokesman on one of the evening Fox shows other than yourself. Israel needs more first-person voices to defend her. How many of you loved recently when Blake Neff is punching back? Man, I've loved that. I mean, he's good at it too. Like, Blake, we need you, bro. Like, get out there, fight some more. Get some more people. Andrew, get in there. Get in there and be just as vicious defending what Charlie built as they are trying to take it away and tear it down. Right? How can Israel defend and define itself if you don't have spokespersons out there fighting back every day? Do you have a press secretary like Caroline Leavitt or defenders like Stephen Miller? When's the last time we've heard from Stephen Miller? I haven't seen or heard from him in a really long time. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just missing it. If not, I encourage you to go find them. You need more Israeli spokespersons that are effective speakers in the media and on social media. I know you also have a serious deep state lawfare challenge. My team and I have been fighting the deep state every single day for many years. Maybe a revamped information war strategy can help with your internal fights as well. Israel has enormous capabilities, such as how you orchestrated your beeper bomb operation. Perhaps Israel can use some of that same ingenuity to be more effectively fight the information war in the media, especially on social media. Israel is the Silicon Valley of the Middle East. Israel has an abundance of brain power and technological expertise. The question is whether Israel has the willpower to step up its game in this information war. The question is, does our side have the willpower to step up this informational war? I don't know. Man, they sure are, like, it seems like so many of these people, they fight tooth and nail. They don't care about the truth. They don't care about anything. They will just say things. They will post things. They will defend Candace. They will defend Baron Coleman. They will defend Ian Carroll, no matter what. And then they will come after you if you post something that was an honest mistake. And even if you go back and correct it within an hour or so, everything about you is questioned. But yet, Candace Owens is not held accountable for anything. All of these other people that are putting out information that have been proven wrong time and time and time again, that have committed to things. For instance, Candace Owens is committed to make sure that she was going to repost a corrected interactive timeline for the Egyptian planes. That hasn't been seen. Are any of her followers like, hey, you promised this. We know you got that all wrong. You said this was key. This was so important. This was so important. Are you going to retract anything or correct anything when it comes to the Fort Huachuca? They're even going to back away from it. Like, she's not even smart enough to back away from the Fort Huachuca thing. She's going to be proven wrong. Brian Harpole is going to be proven that he wasn't there. Erica Kirk is going to prove that she wasn't there. There's going to be egg on her face. And then she's still going to spin that like, oh, no, it's some like deep state thing, like the federal civil courts were all in on it. They were actually there. And then people would just gobble it up and believe it. From my vantage point, the status quo is not working. Israel is getting crushed on social media. The right is getting crushed. MAGA is getting crushed. Not really. All right. That's the perception. But we need to get rid of the perception too. And whatever gains they are making, we need to make sure that we stop that and take those back. We cede no ground. All we do is take, because we have truth. We have truth on our side. We have the facts on our side. We have America on our side, the principles in which we have logic on our side. They've abandoned all morals, ethics. They've abandoned all that. They don't care about the morals and ethics of anything. They don't care about, these societal norms that we've established for good reason for a really long time. Like, you are innocent until proven guilty. You don't launch accusations unless you have, extremely strong evidence. But instead, I'm going to create a new business model here where I'm going to content farm through extortion. I'm going to launch horrendous, the worst accusations possible. And I'm going to say, this is you. This is what you did. You killed Charlie Kirk. You participated in all this. And by the way, I need you to prove your innocence. And everybody's like, yeah. Like, all you got to do is prove your innocence. Just send them everything. I had some clown the other day, like, Gary, all you got to do is send all your banking account information and prove you're not being paid by anybody. Like, are you out of your mind? Do you think I would give that information to you? No, last time I checked, I'm American. And by the way, I fought for this country. I was willing to die for this country. I have friends that gave their life for this country. I wouldn't do it out of principle. Because F you freaking jackbooted thug. That's fascism. That's, quite frankly, terrorism. We're not going to, no. I don't need to prove anything. You prove your allegations. You provide a little bit of evidence in all of this. The burden of proof is on you, clown. Prove that Erica Kirk was there. Prove that Brian Harpole was there. Israel getting crushed in social media, and you're losing younger generations of America, even among MAGA conservatives. TPUSA is getting crushed on social media, and you're losing younger generations of Americans, even among MAGA conservatives, because their voice is louder. MAGA is getting crushed on social media because they're not pushing back enough either. Our side's getting crushed because their side is willing to step up to the plate. And we're just like, again, oh, you know what we need to do? If we starve the grift, we'll win. I can't believe, like, there are intelligent people that actually look at that and be like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. In my opinion, you're losing the information war, which will eventually translate into less political and military support from America. The Holy Land is so important to my life, and it pains me to see support from Israel slip away. feel free to contact me on my private number below. If you would like to discuss this further. Sincerely, Charlie Kirk. Folks, this is a person that cares so much about Israel. And you can criticize all that. Like, we can have that discussion. But he cared so much about Israel, felt it was so important to the U.S.'s own national security, which, by the way, I feel the same way. And that's actually taking the time to learn about our relationship, what it really means with taking all the information from both sides. And what I found out, just trying to objectively, without a dog in the fight, just what I have found out is that there's one side that has to lie constantly, has to twist everything to convince me that Israel is absolutely the worst. And then there's another side, they're actually kind of sheepish, and like they don't even, it's all true. It's like, hey, here's the benefits of that. And then there's like a bunch of gray area in between, without a doubt. But you can just assess it. But what, like, the more I looked into everything that one side of this was saying, the more I just became disgusted with that side. And I'm like, you know what? Even if some elements of what you're saying is true, I understand that you guys are the absolute worst type of people. You're propagandists. You're disgusting. Like, you have made all of these people much more, like, number one, and on top of the fact that they're just presenting the truth. And they're not even doing it that well. Like, they're not even doing it as effectively. Like, I had to go search for this information. You want to learn any negative thing about Israel? Like, it's all over the place. All over the place. Extremely prevalent. But going back to here, everything written here is from a deep place, deep love for Israel and the Jewish people. Folks, because somebody expressed some frustration with a donor, with an element of his job, doesn't mean that this went away. Like, you can't even say that. Now, even going back to all the mean tweets and responses that Charlie was getting when he was alive, right up to the day that he died, by the way. If you guys want to have the discussion of, like, hey, you know what? I think Charlie was wrong. We shouldn't support, like, let's have that discussion. But what I'm not going to sit here and allow or even entertain is like this stupid lie that Charlie became you people. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. Quit trying to freaking wear Charlie as a skin suit and take these little bits and pieces of information and turn it into something that's not. That's what I'm not going to put up with. Anyways, I don't know. Hopefully, like, I think this letter is extremely important. And I think Charlie laid out not only what Israel should be doing, but what all of us should be doing right now as well. Exactly how to respond to all the lies that are being pushed right now, right at this very moment. Let me get to some comments. I see Jen does have the FBI response to yesterday's shooting, which we will definitely get into. MTX, Charlie's last tweet about Massey was that he voted no to the OBB. I actually tweeted that. That was clearly highlighting the fact that Massey didn't vote and didn't continue to support. He said the only two, it was Massey and another one. I don't remember who the other one was. 2 days
Gary?
after, yes, ma'am.
I also have Stephen Miller dropping the hammer on Thomas Massey pulled up as well.
Awesome. All right. I am excited to see that. Speaking of Stephen Miller. 2 days after Trump said he would endorse someone against Massey. Yeah. Sorry, on behalf of Gen Z, we're not all tards. Oh, I know. I know. Look, there's so many good people that are just deceived, unfortunately. And we do need to, I need to, and I'm talking to myself more than anybody. I get frustrated with the constant attacks and people constantly saying, you know, you're paid by the, like, that gets frustrating. That gets old. Sometimes it doesn't bother me. Every now and then it hits me just right. Like, you freaking know. But the fact is, folks, I'm not paid by anybody. I'm doing this because I love this country and I think it's important. And you can sit there and try to put whatever motivations behind me, and 99% of the time, it's because you don't have an argument. So it has to be something else, or you're so deceived and so brainwashed that you can't see. You're stuck in fallacy. Like, you can't even see the logic and reason that's being applied over here, and how I've come to my conclusions and the way that I've evolved on this entire thing. You know, at the beginning of this, I was willing to entertain all the crazy stuff because we didn't have enough information to weed those things out. But as more and more information came in, the only thing I'm going to be able to honestly say is like, all right, let's, somebody said that he was killed by a palm gun. Let's take a look at that. Nope, that's not possible. All right, let's move to the next thing. All right, he was killed by a camera gun. Nope, not possible. Not possible. He was killed by the French Foreign Legion. Okay, where were they? What evidence do we have with this? Oh, you don't have any. Well, that's weird. Like, we didn't see them. Oh, it was all everybody wearing maroon shirts. Were they French? Running around eating croissants? Eating, I don't know. Like, I can't participate in that. And you don't have to like those conclusions. But to sit here and like demonize me and try to, I don't know, like strong arm me into like believing the horse shit that you believe, like, if you want to believe that, fine, go believe that. I think you're deceived. That's the end state of what I'm going to say. I think you're deceived. I think you've watched some extremely compelling videos by people that don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand physics. They don't understand ballistics. And I'm just going to tell you the truth. You can love it or hate it. The problem is that you came to a conclusion too early, and now you're not willing to let it go. And instead of accepting the actual evidence and the reality of this entire situation, you're just desperately looking to hold on to that belief, and you're desperately looking for evidence that's going to support it. We've all been there. But, you know, as adults, we got to let that crap go sometimes. It's like perpetuating the belief in Santa Claus. Like, we as parents, think of all the stuff that we did. My dad, for my younger sister, would actually get on the roof. And get up there and like make it sound like Santa Claus was landing. This is what, like, as a child, we want to believe that so much. And then we have people that are perpetuating those beliefs with insanity. And that's okay if we're talking about Santa Claus and you're 5 years old. It's not okay for Candace Owens to be up on the roof, bouncing around, trying to convince you that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer just landed on your house. Because that's what she's doing. That's what's going on. They're hiding all the presents from you so that they think that they just magically appear Christmas morning. I'm not participating in it. I don't know. I'm a freaking grown man. I think this darkness started the moment Candace, John Mappin, and George Softcood takeover turning point failed, and Charlie politely rejected her and realized she was a covert Marxist. I don't know. Probably. I think that was definitely, there were some seeds of all this, but it's grown so much bigger now. I mean, it's so much bigger than all this. It's so much bigger than TPUSA at this point. It's so much bigger than whether or not Erica Kirk, we know she's not guilty of anything. You know how I know? The absence of evidence. The fact that you have to point to her sparkly pants to get people to hate her. That's how I know this is all trash. Because if you had some real stuff, you'd actually present it. Gary, TPSA definitely needs to push back more. It's frustrating. I agree. I screenshot a thread yesterday saying evangelicals have to be removed from America alongside the Zionists. It's absurd. It's so absurd. It's funny. Yeah, a lot of the humor of some of this stuff has just worn off on me. Like, man, these people are serious. Like, they're really convinced of this. Gary's the most rational when it comes to U.S. foreign policy. Yeah, like, folks, this is all one big. Foreign policy is so complicated. It's so messy. it's mostly gray, with every now and then we get just a glimpse of some black and glimpse of some white. It's just so true. And I've had the fortunate opportunity to see so much of this, both in combat overseas, going to Iraq and Afghanistan. Iraq I've been to twice. Afghanistan I've been to the Philippines and under combat operations as well. In Mindanao, the people that replaced us, team that replaced us in ID, we lost a guy. Like, everything is so complicated. And then when I worked for the Department of State, traveling to embassies and consulates all over the world and seeing how complex the dynamics of the people, of our relationships, of the local politics, of the religion, like, it all blends together. And it gets messy. And it's not black or white. And when people start presenting those binary choices, they're not doing it in good faith. We can absolutely hold Israel to task for some of the things that we disagree with. But what we need to do is we need to get some action. We need to establish the facts, because that's been so muddied and just convoluted that nobody even knows what to believe. And even me, like, I'm smart enough to understand, folks, I don't know everything about what's happening in Israel. Israel could be lying about a lot of things. But what I do know is I've seen too much evidence that what we see on the Palestinian side is a lot of lies, a lot of propaganda, a lot of things being pushed by Iran. And then it comes back to, for me, October 7th. Like, if those were my people, and, if I'm back in Texas, I'm on the border of Mexico, and suddenly some cartels came across and killed 1,500 of my people, and they took a bunch of hostages, sexually assaulted women, tortured little kids, killed, like, I'm sorry. Sometimes all-out warfare is what has to be done. And if those people, unfortunately, make the bad decision of putting human shields to stop me from getting to them, that is on them. That's on them. Folks, war is ugly. It is a necessary evil. And it has been since the beginning of time. And the more, and that's really the problem. That's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons the Iraq and Afghanistan war lasted so long, is because we tried to fight this diplomatic war. We tried to insert diplomacy and try to, pretend that war, like, the war isn't ugly. You can say whatever you want about World War II, but there was nothing. We have never seen a fighting force more radical than the Imperial Japanese. What they were willing to do to win, and the amount of fight that they had in them, if we hadn't dropped those 2 atomic bombs, I do believe we would have been fighting that war for another 10 years, millions of American lives. And it is a horrific thing to drop a nuclear weapon. The only time that nuclear weapons have ever been used. And we can sit around, we can hindsight 2020 that all day long, but I can tell you, just objectively, maybe there were some other options at play. But regardless, just objectively, that saved probably millions of American lives. And the end of the war. And look at the relationship. And we took the fight out of them. Like, that's why we have a good relationship. We didn't do this like half-ass war where, like, we go do some attacks. You guys ready to quit? All right, we're going to pull back. We'll let you refit. We'll let you get your morale back up. And then we might come back. If you're nice, we won't. Oh, you're just going to wait us out? No. We said, hey, you know what? We're coming to kill you. You either surrender or we're going to kill you. You completely give up. You completely surrender the will to fight, or we are going to end you. That's how war has to be fought, so that we can make sure that the war ends quickly. It saves lives. War with diplomacy, all it does is extend misery and kills more people. It's a fact. When you make a comment, immediately get 60 comments slamming your comment bot. Yeah. And you can just tell too. Like, look, I can comment on stuff all day. Man, the moment I throw Candace Owens into the mix or Baron Coleman or some of these other ones, boy, the bots just come out and it's like, I don't know. They really took out one of the most sane voices. You're right. They did. I don't think we realized what a bulwark that Charlie Kirk was and how he was holding back, or what he was actually holding back. And that is the entire woke right. Like, all of them were put in check because of Charlie Kirk. And now he's gone. They see that as an opportunity that they're trying to exploit. Gary Stephen Miller dropped Hammer on Massey the other night. It was a chef's kiss. We will definitely watch that. Let me get through. Andrew just debunked claims that Charlie Kirk show was being funded by Israel since they bought out Salem Media Group. He told them partnership ended and people are still saying he's lying because Grok. I did see apparently that they are still promoting the podcast. Again, this is where we get into like some gray zone, and truth isn't always black and white. We'll figure that out. What I can tell you is I don't think that, whether that's true or true, like we need to sort through all that. It wasn't an intentional lie, like something that you can look up very quickly. But apparently it had to do with Salem was doing their radio. I don't know. It's complicated, right? As the truth usually is. Bibi listened to Charlie, and there are many Israeli influencers now, but their voices are suppressed by YouTube, TikTok, Muslim Brotherhood. Sami Hamdi talks about their methods. Yeah, that's the other thing that all of us are fighting. And this is why I'm telling you, folks, we have to work so much harder. YouTube, Google, they are against us. I'm telling you right now, I know I wish I could have the money. I wish I was Elon Musk, where I would just buy YouTube as well. And I would pull out that algorithm and I would show you, like, oh, look at all the bias they have over here for this particular thing. Like, it is. They hate the conservative right. They hate gun tubers, people expressing and pushing, that people are more independent. Like, independence is what this country was founded on. And it's the number one thing that they're trying to destroy. The more dependent that we become on the government, the less firearms that we have, the more helpless that we are, the more dependent and reliant that we are on the government. I mean, that is how they control us. That is the foundation of all this. We need to start being louder than the left. It's starting. My country has had a couple of silent majority protests this month. They're small because people are scared, but it will grow. And that is this is a muscle that we all have to exercise and develop, right? This was a muscle that I had to develop. Even getting into this, I was like, I knew that speaking out against Candace was going to be detrimental to me. It was not going to be good. All right. I was like, all right, let's do this. And man, when people start coming after you and they start questioning your patriotism, start going after your family, they start going, all the things that, and again, it's not woe is me. A lot of people that have the courage, that's what they experience. And at first, it feels like the world's closing. Like, oh my God, I can't believe they would say that about us. I can't believe that they're coming after my reputation that I've spent a long time developing and building. Like, I've lived a good life. I'm a good person. You know what I mean? It's like, what? Like, folks, I'm not being paid by anybody. But the more they do that, the more of those callous, like, now it doesn't even bother me. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't change my day at all. It doesn't. And we all say, I don't care what people think. Boy, I don't care what people think. And that's probably the first time in the last couple of months I've been able to say that and not be lying unintentionally, right? Like, I genuinely don't care. If 300 million Americans hate me for saying what I'm saying, I don't care. I genuinely don't care. My wife knows who I am. My kids know who I am. God knows who I am. The rest doesn't matter. I don't care. My YouTube goes away tomorrow. It doesn't matter. Like, we're going to be out there pushing the truth. Not all boomers are idiots. We even have cell phones and smart TVs and aren't tied to pay phones anymore. I even research a lot. Been doing since 9/11, 01. Not all of us are senile and brain dead. I agree with that. Elise, you're absolutely right. Not all are. Most aren't, as a matter of fact, and most have integrated into modern society quite well, actually. With that being said, what Charlie was expressing was, again, a paradigm of what works and what doesn't. What I can tell you is when people say, oh, look, Gary, just starve the grift, that mostly comes from that generation. Ignore it and it will go away, because that works at a local level. It doesn't work on social media. Like if you're a bully, if you're being bullied in school, for instance, a lot of times if you avoid that and just ignore them and don't give into their taunts and things like that, that works. That works at the micro level. It works at the family level. It works like, when I got my two boys up there and they're picking on one another, if one of them ignores the other one, typically that person runs out of steam. That doesn't work at the social media level. So, but I hear what you're saying, Elise. I'm glad you are in it, right? You're in the technology, you know what's going on. Charlie's letter is so good. It is so good. It was, I can't believe I'd waited that long to read it. Yeah. Thank you, Gary, for honoring Charlie. Thank you. Thank you guys for honoring Charlie. And by the way, if you haven't liked, subscribe, make sure you guys do that. We do appreciate that. But also the other thing I would ask everybody to do is share this content. I don't want this to be in just an echo chamber. And I appreciate you guys showing up. But the other thing we got to do is we got to grow this audience. We got to get this message out, not for the sake of Gary, not for the sake of growing this channel, but because there's a lot at stake. And hopefully, what I'm saying inspires others to do the same thing. But all it takes is something free from you. Completely free. Doesn't cost you a thing. Just share the content. Exactly, Gary. Sick of all these people speaking for Charlie. I agree. Preach, Gary. Thank you. Gary's on fire, son. We appreciate you doing this for Kirk family and TPUSA. That being paid line is so worn out. It is so. Now it's not that it's effective in any way. It has no impact on me, but I'm just tired of seeing it. It's like, oh my God, another one. Like, you guys got nothing else. You got, first it was I was a Fed, then it was I was paid by Israel, then it was I was TPUSA, paid by TPUSA. Now it's because we sold some equipment that we've been selling for years to the military that started months before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Now I'm back to being a Fed. Like, you just continue to move it. You were wrong 3 other times, or I guess maybe I can do it all. Maybe I'm double dipping. I'm double dipping from TPUSA, freaking Bibi's dropping off bundles of cash, and the government. Exactly, Gary. They hate Charlie because so many of us are true Christian conservatives, just like Charlie, and he stood for faith, family, and freedom. They hated him. They hate us. You are so right. These people have, for the last 8 months, defended the most absurd and possible ridiculous conspiracy theories. They've dug down so deep, they're never going to admit they've been duped now. And even if they do come to that conclusion, like, they're still going to hate us, definitely me and other people that are kind of prominently pushing back on this, because we saw them for how ignorant that they were. And they're never going to, like, you know what? Gary was right. I was wrong about Gary. He was telling, like, that's never going to happen. If it does, it's going to be like a very, very small amount. These are the people that have spent their whole lives affirming their worldview, no matter how wrong it is, never wanting to challenge what they believe. Gary's one of my faves. Thank you, Candace. I won't even hold your name against you. Candace has mastered the art of infiltrating institutions and using their very beliefs against them. Yeah, to some extent, that's true. She's very good at she's very good at utilizing very basic information operations tactics. There's nothing sophisticated about what she's doing, but it's just like the fundamentals. I talk about this all the time when it comes to firearms. the people that shoot really well, that are high performance shooters, is not because they know all these secret little things, like all this extra stuff. They've just gotten so good at the fundamentals, and they can execute the fundamentals, the basic things, quickly, efficiently, and without any sort of thought. Like it's all the fundamentals. And really what it comes down to, that's like she's executing very apparent, very basic fundamentals of misinformation. And she utilizes those tactics over and over and over again. And most people just aren't aware of what's going on. And it happens. And she's also done this in a very, like, where she started to where she is today. Like, if she had done that in a day, everybody like, oh my God, what's going on here? But because she did it over time, she conditioned people, she primed people, she won people over. She was showing people proof of things that don't matter. Like, oh, let me prove this to you. Well, it's not even, oh yeah, Candace brings the proof. Now, all right, now that I've convinced you that I'm telling you the truth with, that Mitch Snow was there, now I'm going to tell you that the U.S. military killed Charlie Kirk, or, the French Foreign Legion killed Charlie Kirk, or the French Foreign Legion or the Macron, whatever, paid $1.5 million to end Candace and take Candace out. We got nothing to support that other than her words in the ether. We have anonymous sources, which means they're either fake or they're completely not credible, giving us unverifiable information. Quite the shtick, man. Peace and grace to the Jay Witt. Jason, how you doing, buddy? We love you, Gary. I love you, Ramza. Thank you. Best way I found to describe it, Gen Z is the first generation that reached identity-forming age with no religion, no stable family, no community, no foundation to build a self on. We're empty. Yeah. While at the same time having access to social media that was narrative forming, was creating their own reality, that was brainwashing them from the very beginning. We have a society that started probably in the 90s, definitely by the early 2000s, where it really started before then, but I think it became more prevalent, where we have, we now have every number one, they had reduced the importance or the sanctity of marriage to the point that almost everybody was divorced. We had a lot of kids growing up in a one-parent home. Even then, even if we had two parents, the parents were both working. Like, they were never at home with one another. You never had, a constant figure in their life. They'd meet up maybe for dinner that wasn't even held at the dinner table. We abandoned religion. We started promoting like lascivious behavior, promiscuous sex. We completely dehumanized, or again, reduced the sanctity of even sex and everything else. And we were just pumped with all these perversions, like, oh, this is okay, pornography, all the stuff. Like, it all happened. It all coalesced probably in the 90s and early 2000s. Thank you, Gary, for your service. Thank you. Online influencers claim to know so much about foreign policy, but have no idea what happens in negotiations or the situation room, and then end up looking like clowns. Look, this is one of the things that I really admire about Charlie Kirk, and people will get lost. One of the things after, Charlie's like, I'm against foreign wars. And we even seen the letter, like, I'm against foreign wars. I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen. But at the end of the day, I voted for Trump. I supported Trump. I endorsed Trump because I trust Trump. And the biggest problem that we have with so many of these influencers is they're not aware of their own ignorance. And again, I've sat on high-level military operational planning meetings. I understand the different intelligence platforms, the ISR platforms that we have, how they gather intelligence, human signal. I understand all that. Charlie didn't have that type of insight. But even I'm smart enough to know, like, I don't know what the president knows. And even if I might disagree with a decision that he makes, I have no clue. No clue. And it'd be the height of hubris to pretend that if he decided to strike a target, like, oh, that was a bad decision, that was dumb. Like, you have no clue. what intelligence, what information he had to make that decision. And that's one of the things that I see in this and many of his other videos after the June airstrikes in 2025, Operation Midnight Hammer, is like, look, I trust the president. And I feel the same way. I still think it's a 10 times, if Trump continued to do a lot of things that I disagree with, I still know that he's a better option than any Democrat. Of course, there's a limit to my support. We're nowhere near it. I mean, I love what he's doing, and they're all trying to downplay. And the doomers, our side is the worst. They're all trying to make you forget that we have negative migration. They're all trying to make you believe that we don't still have extensive deportation operations taking place. They want you to believe that because the Democrats were semi-successful in ending the deportations that were getting so much attention in Minnesota, that deportations all over the country have stopped. Out of sight, out of mind. And like, I've heard them say that. Owen Schroyer's one of them. Like, oh, they stopped deportations. Look what they did. Like, no, they haven't. It's still going on. Our economy's doing great. Outside of what, gas is high right now. If we can get rid of a nuclear weapon, I'm all like, that's good. We've increased oil production all over this country. Oil exports have gone up. Like, there's so many things that everybody said couldn't happen, wouldn't happen, and they're still trying to convince you it's not happening. It's actually happening. I mean, the amount of we're also seeing people getting prosecuted. All of those cases take time. We're a year and a half into this administration. Unlike Biden, this administration believes in the rule of law. That takes investigations, that takes a lot of work to collect evidence so that we can actually prosecute these people. It's only now we understand we are surrounded by the enemy on home soil. This is what happens after enough time and open borders. That's true, but if you just ignore it, Daniel, just ignore it. Just starve the grift. Everybody surrounding you will just go away. No, they won't. You're going to be overrun. Nikki, hello. The S-Files. This is an opportunity for more people to step up. We're not Charlie, but we can have more of us together and do as much, if not more. Look, no one is going to replace Charlie. No one can replace Charlie. Charlie was his own, like he's a once in 100-year, 500-year type of personality. It's going to take hundreds of thousands of us to work collectively in one accord to replace what Charlie was able to do. Gary, we respect you for standing your ground. Thank you. I appreciate that. We love you, Gary. Thank you. The new left crying about Israel influence, but silence on the top 3 countries lobbying in U.S., China, Japan, Liberia. Israel is in the 10th place. This is so true. Like, we have problems with foreign influence, and we should reduce it. And I'm fine with reducing any sort of foreign political influence that Israel has. But to sit here and pretend that Israel controls all the strings when they're so far down the list by the amount of money that they have injected into our politics, like so far down the list. Qatar's way above there. China's way above there. China's our greatest threat, folks. China is they have a 50-year plan to replace us. And it's probably only going to take 20 years. Because I think there's no difference between the DNC and the CCP. I think they are one and the same. One and the same. They both hate this country. They both want to ruin this country, and they both want China to win. And I don't know if there's any direct. I suspect there are definitely some direct. But look, ideologically, they are aligned in almost every way. A vote for Democrats, in my opinion, is a vote for the CCP and a vote for the destruction of this country. That's how I feel. Kirk's letter suggests that one Israel is as big or advanced as the U.S. If they try this device, it will fail. Is Charlie getting annoyed at promoting Israel? I think did you guys tell me, like, everyone's going to interpret this like we all interpret everything differently, right? I felt that Charlie was experiencing the same frustration that I kind of feel toward TPUSA. It's like, I'm doing a lot of this, and not just for me. There's a lot of folks out there that I've talked to. Like, TPUSA, you got to fight back. You got to get out there. You got to be more responsive. You got to get Blake Neff. You got to get Andrew Colville. You got to get all these other people. Like, respond to these lies. Like, don't buy into the nonsense and start trying to give them proof of them proof. It's okay. Like, again, even going back to the alibi picture of the kids, I was never trying to convince Candace Owens of anything. And that's like, why would you think I would accept it? Like, almost said, all right, woman, I'm not trying to make you accept anything. I am talking to the reasonable among us. That's it. Like, don't feed into their business model, which is content farming through extortion, but fight back. Just like Blake Neff is doing. Andrew Colvett was speaking out today. What's her name? Alex Clark, I think her name is. I just kind of came across her. She's she's doing a great job too. A couple other folks, get some other people in there. Fight back vigorously. It shouldn't be Gary. It shouldn't be some of these other people. It shouldn't be Graham. It should be TPUSA. When they're sitting there trying to say that, hey, you know what? There's all this money missing because, the Dances with Wolves guy, Wolves in Finances, whatever his name is, looks like some AI robot trying to tell you something. They should have people forget that guy. I'm not giving you anything. But by the way, folks, here's what's going on with this. Right now, there's a new, and I don't know the truth of it. They're basically trying to say that all these TPUSA high school chapters and other chapters are not real. I don't know what the truth is. I know that when you are when you're working with the Unf America tour, which is the people that Destiny and some of the other radical leftists that, by the way, might have some sort of connection to the actual assassination of Kirk. When Project Constitution and all these people are aligning with the most hardcore left people that have been trying to destroy Charlie Kirk, that were they were organizing the protests at UVU. That's what these people were doing. And now they're going on live streams talking about how terrible TPUSA altogether. These people that are saying, "Oh, I'm a Charlie Kirk fan." No, you're not. Shut up. Anybody that believes that, you're a moron. Yeah, but I think ultimately that Charlie felt that Israel wasn't doing enough. And I also think that Charlie felt from that, and again, you guys tell me your interpretation, but it's I don't think he's like, "Hey, Netanyahu, you don't understand the damage that's taking place online. You don't understand the threat to you that's taking place, and you guys are fighting back all over here and over here. That's not where you need to direct your fire. You need to refocus to communication and information operations and information warfare." And Charlie was trying to focus them on the problem and the solution, that I don't think he believed that they were seeing it for the threat they are. And this is exactly what I'm doing on this channel. I'm like, guys, Candace isn't just some person out there. What we're seeing is a clear psychological operation. I think it started with something else, got hijacked by some other people. Now it's being promoted. Now it's much more coordinated. Now it's much more funded. It's also being used by and dovetailed into everything from Tucker Carlson. The left is using it. This is a big deal. Focus on this. Push back against the lies, or you're going to lose your country. I enjoyed the fact that I felt like Charlie saw the same thing that I was seeing right now. When it came to Israel, now it's just they've shifted focus. They're still doing it to Israel. But now we're also seeing it being done domestically as well. Paramount Jubilee just dropped their video. Glenn Greenwald debating 20 MAGA supporters. Would be interesting to react to a clip, some of it, to watch. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Glenn Greenwald's kind of another one. Have you seen the video of the Islamic leaders saying their hard work is paying off and the fracturing of the right? Mentioned Tucker, Megan Bennett. No, I haven't seen that. Send us some links on that. I would love to see that. Shelly B. I love all you're doing, Gary. You're right on with the truth. Keep up the great work you're doing. You've also been right about Candace Owens. She's just awful, and how she's been about Eric Kirk. These are hateful podcast influencers need to stop spreading the lies. Well, they're about to start paying for those lies. I'll tell you that. Candace, old Mitchie Snow. I don't want foreign wars either, but I also don't want to negotiate with terrorists or communists, and want to make sure that America is the dominant world power for the world's sake. So FAFO. I don't want to have to negotiate with terrorists and communists that also just happen to be armed with nuclear weapons, that also happen to run a homicidal, suicidal regime. That's what we can't afford. Like, my concerns about a quagmire of a war start to get kind of prioritized a little lower when we're potentially talking about a nuclear holocaust, whether it's in the Middle East or here at home. I mean, that's the options. They want you to treat Iran, who's been going after nuclear weapons, has invested billions of dollars in infrastructure, has fought the entire world. Like, they are going after nuclear weapons. But they're like, hey, you know what? We just need to ignore them. They'll go away. You know what? You're just you gotta starve the grift. You gotta starve the nuclear program by just ignoring it. They'll go away. What has been lost? The ability to have healthy disagreements but still support your president. That's correct. That is correct. There is a lot of that. And, you know, I'm always trying to find the balance. Like, at some point, you just got to quit wasting your time with people that you're never going to convince. And I've definitely been guilty of this, especially on X. That's where things get wild, right? I'm always trying to, like, pull the reins back on me a little bit, not to get too crazy in the comments. Not always successful, but, you know, it's like, there are people that you know you're not going to reach. You might as well just block them, or they're not there to have an open and honest discussion. It's a waste of time. Just block them. I don't care if it's cool on X or not. I don't care if you think I'm cool. Like, oh, you blocked me. What a mean head. Like, I don't have time to deal with you. I don't want to see you in my comments. So I don't care how cool it is to block people or not. Like, that's another one of these, like, I'm going to convince you to have to put up with me even though I'm nothing but a pain. I don't care if it hurts my algorithm or anything else. I don't care. Like, just to not have to see you because all you're doing is ankle biting them always. Like, not even worth the time. What a psyop, right? I'm going to shame you into not blocking me. So you have to listen to me even though I have nothing constructive to say. Yeah. So I'm always trying to find the balance of not wasting my time and not getting frustrated to the point that I'm, pushing people away that I could reach. And, you're going to lose some. Not going to win them all. A few things helped me open my eyes. One was Yuri Bezmenov's 4-stage process of ideological subversion, demoralization, destabilization, crisis normalization. Another campus celebration of October 7th. Yeah, that'll change you. It'll change you for real. Judging by how bad Hassan Piker is sweating it now, that the feds are investigating him tells me you're right, Gary. The DNC is China and Carrot Muslim Brotherhood. 100%. There is plenty of evidence to suggest that. They were going down to Cuba to train on many different areas. Propaganda, probably weapons and tactics, among other things. We'll see everything that comes out. But Hassan Piker, hopefully, will be charged with some sort of crimes that reward him for the traitor that he is. And there's a whole lot of other folks that didn't come too. Jen, what do we got on the front of? I see this one up here. Need to add that.
We've got Kash Patel talking about the shooting at the White House.
Yep. Let's play that.
This one hits a little differently. We were all there. Many of you were there. Many of you watching were there as well. The president was
Can you hear?
there.
Are you stopping it, Gary?
No, I'm not. I'm not touching it.
This one hits a little differently. We were all there. Many of you were there. Many of you watching were there as well. The president was there. The vice president was there. The cabinet was there. And what you saw described by the general and the U.S. attorney is absolutely true. The president spoke on late Saturday evening with the message of unity and a backing of law enforcement. And we have followed through on that message of unity and the effectuation of law enforcement across this country. This FBI is grateful to the United States Secret Service, the Department of Homeland Security, and our interagency partners, including the Metropolitan Police Department, for swiftly jumping into action. All of us on there put us in a unique position, but all of us also acted uniquely. The Washington field office jumped into action immediately, sending a mobile command center to the scene, along with our evidence response technicians who showed up in speedy fashion to make sure we could collect the evidence that the prosecutors and the department needed to make this announcement today. Also on scene, you were told about the brave heroics of the United States Secret Service and other members of law enforcement, and that should be celebrated by every single American. They did exactly what they were trained to do. They stopped a massive attack from becoming even worse. They stood in the way, they safeguarded America, and they should be nothing but applauded for their bravery and their dedication to their mission and their selfless sacrifice to this country. The FBI, along with standing up mobile command units, evidence tech response team, and Washington SWAT on scene, also established our NC3, our National Crisis Coordination Center, almost immediately. And almost immediately in parallel, we stood up our command center at the Washington field office under ADIC Darren Cox's leadership. Throughout the evening, we immediately began working with our Department of Justice partners to find the evidence necessary to effectuate the legal process necessary and enter into the suspect's room at the Washington Hilton successfully and lawfully and obtain the relevant evidence for exploitation that was on scene. Back at the headquarters division and the Washington field office, we were coordinating a national scale investigation that literally spanned from coast to coast. As you heard, FBI agents, along with the interagency, were immediately dispatched to the suspect's home in California, where we conducted interviews that provided critical information about this horrific attack. We also dispatched investigators and agents to New London, Connecticut, where we conducted further interviews that provided necessary information that you will find in this criminal complaint, as the United States Attorney has just laid out. While officers were working diligently through the night to conduct those interviews, we were also conducting interviews of witnesses on scene. Those interviews are ongoing. As you know, there was almost 2,000 people there. We are sifting through and prioritizing who to talk to, and we will get to each and every one of you with any bit of relevant information. Again, we ask everybody who has any relevant information, like I did on Saturday night with the president, 1-800-CALL-FBI. Any piece of information is information we want to have and must receive. On top of the on-scene response by this FBI, the headquarters response, and the Washington field office response, the FBI flipped on its enterprise-wide response to this critical incident. What does that mean? We dispatched fixed-wing assets across the country so that we could immediately transport evidence that was acquired in California and Connecticut and sent it to our laboratories in Quantico for analysis. We collected the shell casings on scene, including the firearms and the weapons that the judge talked about. Those were also sent to our Quantico laboratories for immediate analysis. America should be proud that this FBI acted with the urgency that was needed for the moment that we had to answer. The president rightly said that we will act in a unified fashion, and it's because of President Trump's leadership and backing of the blue, every single person in law enforcement that I stood with into the late evening hours on Saturday, early evening hours on Sunday, and all day yesterday and today are thrilled to wear the badge and defend this country. Each and every one of them deserves our thanks, and I encourage everyone listening to go out there and shake the hand of a federal agent or police officer and say thank you for doing their job. Thank you for training endlessly to make sure they meet the mission requirements. And for me, as the director of the FBI, I want to thank our headquarters components for working diligently with our prosecutors and make sure that the American public knows it's not just federal agents that do this work. It's our intelligence analysts, our support staff, our laboratories, our fixed wing assets, our critical incident response groups, our hostage rescue teams. Agents sprung into action, got out of bed, and haven't slept since. These prosecutors haven't slept since, and I promise you, they're not going to be sleeping. They are going to give you every piece of evidence. As the journal said, we will make public.
All right. I think we got most of that. I thought this was kind of funny. Mama Albert, have you thought about having Nick Mattel on about Israel and the Middle East? He's fact-filled, debates all the time. He's on the new Jubilee episodes. It's one of the Trump supporters. Thank you, and Jen. Yeah, we got Nick Mattel actually scheduled. When are we supposed to have him on, Jen?
He's supposed to be on, I think, the first or second week. I'm waiting for a confirmation, but it'll be the first or second week of June.
All right.
He's back from Israel.
We've been talking to him for months now, and he had a bunch of stuff scheduled way out, and then he went to Israel So anyways, we got kind of like a 3-day period lockdown. So we will be having him on. We got a lot of other great guests coming up as well. One thing I did want to share real quick is, let me stop screen and share screen. I think what most people are more interested in than kind of what Patel was saying. So what we do know about the shooter as of now is that image release of the White House shooter, Nazir Best, 21, who tried storming the grounds with a firearm and previously tried to gain entry. Nazir Best was known to law enforcement prior to this incident, is now dead. He used a handgun, only got a few shots off before being obliterated. I mean, you know, depending on what sound source you heard, and I may pull up the different reactions of the reporters, because that's actually not only is a little bit humorous, I think it's important to understand how people react to these types of events. It's something that I've worked on as a federal instructor, working in the military, understanding this and seeing this in real time, how just people just react differently to these types of threats. Here we have Nazir Best is a 21-year-old DC local, is today's shooter. He's no longer with us, and the world is a better place. I couldn't agree more. I do want to find shooter reporters reaction.
Gary, don't forget after that, we've got Stephen. It's like a 2-minute clip of Stephen Miller just obliterating Massey.
Matter of fact, let's pull that up while I'm looking for this other clip. And let me pull this down. We'll add, there you go. Stephen Miller in the house.
A very important subject, which is how Tom Massey betrayed America, betrayed you, and betrayed your children. The single most important issue affecting the future of our country is ending the mass third world invasion of America and reversing that invasion. And on the most important issue, on the most important vote, on the most important bill, on the most important day, Tom Massey sided with every House Democrat, every Senate Democrat, Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer against President Trump, against the American people, and against you and your family. When the time came to vote for President Trump's signature border security and immigration enforcement bill, the bill to provide record funding for ICE and Border Patrol and mass deportation, Tom Massey voted no. Tom Massey voted to kill the bill. Tom Massey sided with the House and Senate Democrats over the sovereignty of this republic. I personally called Tom Massey and I said, Tom, this is the most important vote of your life and career. This is the vote to reverse the invasion of America. We need your vote. We need your support. And Tom Massey said we could all pound sand. He voted against Trump. He voted against the American people. He voted against you. He voted to kill the most important bill of his career. That is the real Tom Massey. He sided with the illegals. He sided with the left-wing NGOs. He sided with the refugee industrial complex. And he sided with the radical Democrats and crazy communists instead of siding with you, your family, your children, and your loved ones. That's the truth. That's what you need to hear. That is what you need to know. When America needed him, when you needed him, when President Trump needed him, Tom Massey sided with the radical left and the foreign predators and criminal aliens over the American people.
You know, the other thing that Tom Massey kept, and he's still pushing the Epstein files, right? Which at this point is just nothing much more than a political hoax. The other thing that we need to do a reaction video to, I should have done it today I forgot what I had going on. We need to do a reaction video to the Hunter Biden interview of Kim Sowens, because, I mean, my goodness, if there was ever a more disingenuous glazing of someone right in front of your eyes, it is one of the most pathetic displays. I mean, this was a promotion of this guy. Anyways, so, you know, Thomas Massey continues to push the Epstein files. He's been telling people that he's going to release a list of people's names. Never has, never will. I'm not convinced that there is a list of people's names. So there's that. Let me
Isn't he one of the ones that released 6 names with Ro Khanna that were people
wrong.
that were just
We're victims.
completely innocent?
Yeah. They were victims of people that were completely innocent that ultimately ended up getting death threats and everything else. I mean, it was just completely irresponsible, and ultimately it was a lie. It was just a lie. Let me show you guys this. We'll make this a big screen because this is important. And if you're looking at this from just an entertainment standpoint or realizing from a defensive standpoint, this is very common with people's reactions. And while I was in the military and while I was in law enforcement as an instructor, so I did a couple things. Number one, I was a tactics instructor. So we constantly went through shooting videos. We analyzed what went well, what didn't go so well, both military and law enforcement videos. And then the other thing that I developed the curriculum for and taught was security awareness, threat prevention, surveillance detection, understanding threat analysis from the average people to definitely much more complex. But we always talked about people's perceptions of their environment, their awareness, and understanding threat indicators and how some people do and some people don't. And just analyzing and understanding how people react so differently to these types of things. And it's just and I don't care if you're a trained operator or whatever it is, when I'm out constantly, I am constantly thinking about what if scenarios. Like, what if somebody comes in this door? What if, that's why I always like to, when I'm go out to eat, I like to get in that back corner. I know where the exit is. I like to have, my wife here so that I have ballistic protection. I'm just joking. But, constantly analyzing what's going on and what if scenarios so I'm not caught off guard. The problem is, I don't care how trained you are, if you've been to combat 1,000 times, if you're lost in thought, you're lost in your phone, whatever it is, you can be caught off guard, and it takes you a minute to figure out what's going on. It's the old OODA loop, right? Understanding what's happening, how to react to it, and just analyzing what's happening. So look at these different reactions from these three people.
Public support on Capitol Hill.
What is that?
It's weakening.
Oh, I'm worried about the mic.
What is that?
What is that? What is that?
Hoje a vida mudou.
I
E
mean,
hoje eu
what?
não quero mais pegar você. Sabe por quê? Porque é sua amiga. Eu vou pegar e laraiaraia.
All right. And, it's fun to sit here and make fun of these people, but all of us could be guilty of that depending on what's going on. And just maybe she didn't hear it as clearly as they did. There's a lot of different factors here. So sitting back here and criticizing her. But what we don't want to be are those people. And there's a lot of different things that we can do, constantly analyzing our environment, constantly thinking through those what if scenarios. The reason this training is important, you can never simulate combat. You can never simulate a self-defense scenario, but you've sort of played through some of those already. So you have some experience. With experience, if I ran you guys through a shooting drill, the first time, chances are you'd suck. The third time, you'd be a little bit better. Fifth time, you'd be a little bit better. By the 10th time, you'd make that whole shooting drill, whatever that course of fire is, make it look smooth. Why? Because you have some sort of experience doing it. Training does the same thing. We try to simulate as many different scenarios as possible so that we're never caught like, I don't know what to do. I've gone through some portion of this before, so my reaction time is less. I know what to do. I'm not having to sit there and think through the process. In the military, we have what we call battle drills. All right. And the purpose of the battle drill is basically react without thinking. We automatically do this. We hear a gunfire, we're going to react to contact. All right. We're either going to do battle drill 1 alpha or we're going to do break contact. It's like we're figuring out, and we don't even have to make any decisions. Decision making slows things down. So that's what's going on with this. But and it's hilarious, and we saw this during the Charlie Kirk assassination as well, right? People that have never gone through anything like that, for instance, Mikey McCoy, like not reacting the way that people would like, oh, why would he react that way? Like his friend was just killed. Like, you don't know how these people react to trauma, and to sit there and start making some sort of judgment based off of that, like, oh, he knew it was going to happen. He was calling people. He was giving hand signals. He was all the dumb things that people say. It's just so low IQ and stupid. It makes my brain hurt. But yeah, what are we like on the 5th, 6th attempt on Trump's life? Plot to kill Trump. So But and one of the things I posted yesterday, let me pull this back up here. And sure enough, I'm already seeing this, by the way. Pull the tab. Let me find it. Oh, this is another good one too. Seriously, Spencer Pratt is a political messaging genius. The RNC and conservative candidates should really take notes. If he doesn't win the mayoral election race, he needs to open a political consulting firm. We have truth and logic on our side, but conservatives suck at messaging and leveraging social media. And look what going around with just brilliant. I mean, absolutely brilliant. Let me find. There we go. Okay, what conspiracies are the grifters going to create out of this? Answer below. We'll check back in a few days to see who wins. Correct predictions will get prizes. Also, we have confirmed that this black man claiming to be Jesus is not. Have we confirmed that this black man claiming to be Jesus is not Mossad? And some of the posts were pretty funny. Must be staged, I tell you. That's already being said. It was a setup. I'm pretty sure they'll say the Jews dyed him black during the LSD sessions to turn him into a Manchurian candidate. They fed him kugel and unleavened bread. Bread for 2 years before releasing him from underneath the temple. Maybe one Candace's ex-boyfriend she dumped for a rich white dude. I don't know that she's ever dated a black dude. I don't have a problem with that, but whatever. 1000% MK Ultra Zionist with a real bad foot fungus issue. Maybe part of the Black Hebrew Israelite group. What's Mossad's all-black unit called? At this point, isn't everyone Mossad? They are indeed. But we're going to continue to see that. I mean, they are going to capitalize on every single one of these incidents because they know that people are dumb enough to entertain, and they like it. There's a part of their brain that they know it's not true, but they're going to entertain it. They're going to send super chats, and they get all excited about it. It's just like paying for another fiction book, but they don't have to read. They just sit there and listen. They're in full receive mode, and then they send you a couple super chats. Next thing you know, we got the candy cult going hard and strong. All right, folks, it is now 6:49. Back here at 8 p.m., we will have another live stream. Come join us. A good friend of mine, we're going to have Chris Nolan on. He is going to give us everything that he has found out when it comes to the Butler. And I've seen clips of this. We're going to play portions of it. It's a phenomenal breakdown of the exact events. We're going to also continue to analyze what didn't happen, what should have happened. Do we believe that this was a conspiracy? I think there's a lot of questions unanswered when it comes to the Butler assassination. And we'll go back into the history of this because there's a lot of parallels that took place, or even with my experience with this that we'll talk about. So thank you folks for tuning in tonight, this evening, and we'll be back here in about an hour and 10 minutes. Appreciate you. But until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll talk to you soon.